Hello and welcome to the Rose Rehash in paradise. That's right. Every week after we get done with the Bachelor in Paradise, I come out here and we're going to go through the big story of the week. I'm going to give out some superlatives and then we're going to give out some awards. That's how we do it. Every single episode of the Rose Rehash. Make sure you like, comment, let me know if you agree, disagree, whatever. Also, subscribe to the channel. All you got to do, it lets you know every time I'm going to put up a YouTube video. I'm not putting up YouTubes every 5 minutes. It's not like my Twitter. I'm not going to be tweet all day long. Get subscribed to the channel right now so you get all the good stuff I'm putting out here. Also, I got shows. Washington, D.C. That's right. I'll be there September 9th through the 12th in Washington, D.C. DC Improv. JaredFreid.com, JaredFreid.com for tickets. Let's get to the big subject of the last two nights. If I'm gonna really, squeeze out the juice, the main subject is delusion. We start basically what happens is the domino that pushes all the dominoes over is Mari and Kenny, who seem to be a couple. She looks at him and she says, well, and this is what happens. When you get the rose, you get the power. And with power comes great responsibility. And some people, the power goes to their head. To some people, power, they know how to wield the power. It seems as though anyone who gets to have the rose kind of loses their way. Mari looks at Kenny, a 40-year-old boy band manager with abs who's never been married, and it says to him, she goes, well, what if I get asked on a date? I just think I want to keep my options open. I do have a rose, and I do want to meet whoever might walk down that door. It's like when you date someone who's still on the dating apps, and you say, why don't we get off the dating apps? And they say, well, I'm not ready yet, or let's be exclusive, but not in a relationship. They have a foot out the door. Mari tried to do what a lot of guys try to do. They say, when we're together, we're together. But when we're apart, things can happen. And Kenny, because he's a 40-year-old coxman who's never been committed to a relationship, he's never been committed to anything but his abs, looks at Mari and goes, okay, so we'll just do a clean break. Yeah, keep him, because he says, what do you want me to do? Wait here for you? He goes, what if I get asked on a date? What if that means I want to weigh my options? And Mari, it's interesting, the minute she brought up this plan, it seemed like the minute she said it and the quickness with which Kenny was like, yeah, sure, no problem. She was like thrown for a loop, as if Kenny would go, no, you go on a date because you have the rose and you check out what you need to check out. Kenny's like, I don't need a rose to be a confident dude. I've been a confident dude for legitimately 40 years, because someone who looks like that is still on this game for a reason. He's still on the beach walking around because he's had options in his life. He's not worried. He's not playing scared, which, listen, is kind of douchey, but it is what he is. Mari didn't know the person she was dueling with. So then she goes and confides in Demi, which is like, yeah, let me go confide in the devil. Like, what were you thinking? A delusional moment. Demi and her start talking, and Demi goes, oh, so now there's an open dude with abs who's hot and looks like he knows how to bone. So then she goes beelines it for Kenny, and now they're together. On the same episode, we have Natasha and Brendan. Natasha's all excited over a kiss on the cheek, and you're like, you're delusional. This isn't it for him. He has a girlfriend somewhere else. He must. It feels like Brendan is playing this super quiet until his girlfriend gets to the beach, and then he's going to go off with her, and we're going to see that at some point. He knows something. It feels too friendship based, and it's like, again, delusion. Natasha, this guy isn't. She has with him on a day bed, and she's like, we're together. No. So then it goes on to more delusion. Joe and Serena, mopey Joe, grosser Joe, and Serena go on a date. Joe is delusional to think that Serena is on the same maturity level and looking for the same things as him. Serena's sitting there being like, let's have fun. And he's like, I have to wear a cape? This is outrageous. I think he's going to get thrown for a loop as well. And then Tammy goes and gets with Thomas 5 feet away from Aaron. Aaron and Tammy seem like a very strong couple. Then all of a sudden, Tammy looks at Thomas, goes, you're tall. Why don't you walk away with me? and they walk within 5 inches of Aaron and start making out. And then Aaron goes and calls out Thomas for some reason. Again, delusional. Aaron's problem isn't with Thomas. Aaron's problem is with Tammy. You and Tammy have talked. You and Tammy have made a bond. She knew about that bond and then went and grabbed the next tall dude who happened to be your greatest enemy. I don't know if that even came up between you. I'm not sure of that. I'm not going to make that assumption. But then she goes and grabs, a tall dude and makes out 5 feet away from you. So the idea that this is Thomas's fault, who just showed up to the island. I know you don't like Thomas, Aaron, but it's not on him. He doesn't know the history. He doesn't. It's not up to him to. He didn't talk with you for a week like Tammy did about your feelings. Aaron was right to be mad. He just got mad at the wrong person again. Delusion. Then he finally calls out Tammy. Tammy starts crying that she's getting called out, and you're like, Tammy, you're delusional now. You didn't want to hurt Aaron. You shared feelings and thoughts and hugs and kisses with Aaron, and then you went within arm's length of him and made out with another dude. Again, the main theme, delusion all over the place. Now we get to, Mari earlier in the episode looks at Demi and throws the cake in the fire, but Demi actually brings up a good point. She goes, "We're here to find the right person. We are here. No one's in relationships." And I think that's what's got so interesting about this episode is they all felt too comfortable. And then the minute people started showing up, they're going, "Well, why don't you wait for me here while I go over here and diddle and see what I can put together. And if that doesn't work out for me, I'll come back to you." And it's like, oh, I'm sorry. Everyone on this island's hot. Everyone on this island has options. Everyone on this island is like you and has 30,000 Instagram followers. We're not in servitude of you. So that's kind of how it felt like they were all kind of thinking they're the main character of the movie. It was just a very interesting show. And then the only one that kept out of delusion was Demi, because Tia shows up and Joe, who knows Kenny or knows Tia, goes, "Kenny's the type of guy Tia's going to want." And Tia looks at Kenny, goes, "You're coming with me on a date." And Demi has to kind of sit and live up to the words she said on the previous episode. Demi was like, "No, we're here to date. We're here to, everyone's trying to check each other out." And she has to sit there. And I got to hand it to Demi. She said, "My ego is bruised, but this is the way of the game." And, Demi actually showed the least delusion of them all. Let's go to our superlatives. We're going to start with the class clown. The funniest moment on tonight's episode was there was a love triangle between Deandra, Carl, and Chazen. Now, Carl gave Deandra a charm bracelet that it looked like it came out of one of those claw games at the carnival. And he puts it around her wrist and he says, "That's for you because I really like you." Then Chazen shows up. He beelines it for Deandra. And Chazen has the vocabulary of a guy who hasn't left the beach in his whole life. And Carl and Chazen are now in this duel of two people who went to community college. Like it was not an intellectual feast for the ears. They're basically like, bruh, dude, bro, Chazen, Carl, what are we doing? And so Chazen sees, like a true idiot, Chazen sees Carl give the bracelet to Deandra, and he's like, "Well, I have to give a bigger bracelet." And he goes and gets a necklace that looks like the turnover chain that the Miami football team gives to each other when they get a fumble or an interception. It literally looked like he put the WWE championship belt around her neck, and it's the ugliest thing you've ever seen. So now Deandra's wearing the Mr. T starter set, and she looks at Carl and she goes, "Carl, I can't take your anklet from your 13-year-old sister. Can you take it back?" Makes him take it off of him. And now we're led to believe that it's between Chazen and Carl. Who's going to get Deandra? And Deandra very rightly so, is like, I don't want either of you, and gives her rose to Ivan. I have never laughed harder at an episode. It was just two dummies that were like, huh? And out of nowhere, Ivan swoops in. Great move by Deandra. Great move by Ivan. It was really amazing to watch them both, two doofs just get oafed out of the game. Let's go to the couple of the night. I don't think Joe and Serena are good for each other, but they are the strongest couple. They even said it. And I think that is going to be an interesting storyline. Obviously, Kendall shows up at the end, and Kendall is Joe's ex of 2 years. So obviously, things are going to change. But as far as the game is concerned, Joe and Serena have the strongest bond on the beach. And I think Joe is infatuated with Serena. She's 23 years old, and she's fun and flighty and doesn't care. And oh my God, you're 35. She treats 35-year-olds like they're 103. So I think Joe is infatuated with that, but it is going to fall apart. But I do think they're the strongest couple of the island. Most eligible. Becca Kufrin showed up tonight. Becca, it is so hilarious to watch the reverence the other Bachelor and Bachelorette contestants have for someone who has been the Bachelor or the Bachelorette. Becca Kufrin is the first ever Bachelorette to be on this show, which kind of feels like a senior. Like it kind of feels like she's repeating senior year of high school. Like there are moments where it's sad. I have to say, her giving the toast. She's like, I've done this before. I know how to do the toast. I've been in control of this show. Because when you're the Bachelorette, when you're the Bachelor, you're basically a producer. You're a hired person. You're kind of the host. She is going back down. Like Becca went from having the suite at the mansion and all the like first class tickets to wherever they went around the world to now sharing a bunk bed on this beach that looks like a hostel. Like how the mighty have fallen. But she is the most eligible because she has the most Instagram followers. That is how it works here. The minute she showed up, everyone's like, "What? Oh, whoa, whoa! She's got a lot of sponsorship and trips to Tao and Vegas." Let's go to the host. Lance Bass was a disaster. I think he was on the show for 7 seconds. I think he said like three sentences. It's time. Just make Wells the host. Why are you doing this to Wells? Why are we having Lance Bass brought negative to the table? Like he didn't bring anything. He showed up legitimately. I think he showed up on the first episode this week over an hour into it. Like what's he even doing there? He doesn't want to be there. We don't need him here. Let's have Wells do it. Let's have a pro do it. And at least Wells, when he's given the power of hosting duties, he can question some of these relationships. That's what we want. During Bachelor in Paradise, the fact that they're not doing like a Jeff Probst style question and answer session before roses go out is a huge miss. We don't want to watch a 10-minute intro of them doing their funny poses during the intro. We don't need that. Give us a Probst moment. Let's go to the Batches. The Batches is where I give out coconuts to my favorites and crabs to my least favorites of the episode. Let's start with some coconuts. I got to give first coconut to Demi. Demi lived by her words, as hard as it was. And she even said it. She even showed some vulnerability. She goes, you know what? My ego is bruised, but, this is what happens. This is the game we're in. You're going to go on dates. And she may be delusional. She might be thinking like, well, I'm a great girl. He's going to go on that date and everything will be fine. But I have to give respect to Demi, who said to Mari, we're here to date. We're here to meet people. And then she owned it. And she sat there holding in with the fakest smile you've ever seen. She's like, have fun on your date. Do I feel bad for her? A little bit, but do I like her more? Yes. The next coconut is going to go to Ivan. Ivan swooping in to knock out both Chazen and Carl. Ooh, it was like watching Royal Rumble when someone runs into the ring and knocks out two people at once. It was just beautiful. Deandra's hot. You got the rose. You stay another week. You're a good dude. You got left at the altar by Jasenia. I thought you got kind of left unfairly. She just said there was no spark. I think Jasenia kind of lives in her own dream world where she's Cinderella and some Prince Charming is going to show up and she's just going to hear la da 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 da. Ivan, you're a good dude. I'm happy for you. I'm happy you're still here. Last coconut's going to go to Connor. Connor, I know you're upset. I know you're going home. This was a blessing in disguise. There was no reason for you to stick around while Riley and Marissa just hang there banging for the rest of the time. It wasn't going to be fun to be around. You were going to have to sit there in your outfit that you chose for each day. I know you brought some fun outfits, but this was a blessing. It's time to go home. It's time to meet like a school teacher. It's time for you to come in once a week and do music time with Connor the cat and for you to sing nursery rhymes. It's time for you to move on. This isn't the arena for you. This isn't where it's going to happen. I think you need to go to smaller ponds to be a bigger fish. Let's give out some crabs. The first one goes to Abigail.
Ouch.
Abigail looks at Noah tonight and she says, I've just never had it this easy with a guy. I've never gotten along so well with a guy, so I must mess this up. I didn't understand what Abigail was getting at because she didn't say that she didn't feel anything with Noah, but then she didn't say anything was wrong. She didn't say anything was right. It's one thing if she's like, I don't have a spark. I mean, I just made fun of Jasenia for a very similar thing, but like, she didn't even say that. She was just like, I don't know, things are going too well. And you go, so what's even the conversation? If you're not passionate for this person, fine, own that. But she sat there speaking. I didn't know what she thought, what her problem was. It just felt like she was like too afraid to say, I don't like you like that. We're friends. So she sat in that in between, which is more annoying than making a choice. The next one goes to Aaron.
Ow!
Aaron, you picked a fight with the wrong person. Tammy was your issue. You go into Thomas, you're just taking out old frustrations with Thomas. Yes, it sucks that your mortal enemy is making out with a woman that you made a connection with. That sucks. But that's kind of how the cookie crumbled. The real the real problem you have is with Tammy. And you spent so much time on Thomas that you kind of let Tammy believe that she was just going to mediate this whole thing. No. You got to talk to her. It was your problem. And now I'm happy you're staying, man. You got the rose from Becca, the queen of this island, apparently. But I think you got to he needs to put away this rivalry because it's going to get in the way of him having his own experience. The last crab goes to anyone who trusts Kenny. Anyone on that island, anyone on that beach who's looking at Kenny and being like, he seems like a good guy. Yeah, I think he might be the one. Hey, Kenny, why don't we just date Mari, Demi, Tia? We now have 3 women who are trying to go after, who have tried to go after a 40-year-old boy band manager with abs and a star tattoo at his oblique. You think that dude is just here to settle down? You think he's here to find the one? You think you're going to go back to Chicago and manage the boy band with him, a husband and wife team? This dude is a coxman. He's been doing this move for over 19 years, 20 years of his life. He's been working from lady to lady, and it ain't ending today on this beach. So the idea that you're going to tame the Kenny, it ain't going to happen. And Kenny is amazing at it. You're watching him. Nobody can be mad at him. He's done nothing wrong by anybody because he's made no promises because he's been doing it his whole life. That's our episode. That's the Rose Rehash. We'll be back next week. Boom.